Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Insights with Dylan White. It is Wednesday, October 1st, first day of the month, first day of the last quarter of the year. I've taken the last week to just decompress, enjoy a lot of life, getting a little bit of things together, starting to put out a ton of applications, and just with everything going on in the world, it's an interesting time because you find yourself on LinkedIn scrolling, putting in applications, and then just with everything else, like just with your phone, you get caught up doom scrolling LinkedIn. It becomes the reality. So what I've taken the time to do is start to clean my LinkedIn, and I really appreciate a lot of experts in the field that of just LinkedIn social and just helping just show people how to clean LinkedIn and optimize your LinkedIn to fit you. So I appreciate that. So I've taken this time not only to clean my LinkedIn, start doing certain aspects of my LinkedIn profile, from saying I'm open to work to closing out my chapter and removing the current role. All those are really difficult emotional things for me, at least, and I'm sure they are for others. But what I really want to focus on is now just consistency. I think that's one aspect of my life that for this year especially has been tough. With everything going on, there's always an excuse to make. And I think I was told it in an interview a couple a week or so ago, maybe more now. The number one aspect any person can bring into any role is consistency. And it's funny though, because that question was, hey, what do you think the number one thing is that a person could bring into any role? And I bet you the interviewer said, I bet you won't guess it. It was a CEO, and and I definitely didn't guess it. I was trying to be all innate about it and came up with something crazy just for that role in particular, and I was blown away. And their explanation of it was so genuine. It makes you realize that a lot of people do struggle with that, right? Because you're so caught up in integration and like going from 0 to 100 that sometimes you forget if your best and your most consistent best is 80 to 85. That's better than going to 120 back down to 30, right? Consistency is so crucial, right, in any role. So what you don't want is somebody to find you're consistent for that month or 2 months or 4 months, whatever it may be, and you're consistently at 120, but then all of a sudden for 2 weeks you're all the way down to 30. Well, if that's the case, you may need to work something out. Maybe it's, hey, I go for 3 months as hard, and every 3 months I work it out with my manager to take a week of refreshing, because that's just how you integrate. There's another boss I had that was so. It's wise when you think about it. Everybody thinks it's cliche, and every job's like, "Oh, that's a red flag." I honestly think it's more interesting than ever hearing it, especially in the world of sales and tech sales and solutions engineering, those things. That work life integration is critical. And at the time, you're like, is that just another thing like family? Honestly, I don't think it is. I think if you don't integrate your work into your life and your life into your work, then eventually you're gonna burn out one way or the other. I think I found myself doing that many times. The more I fight that saying, the more it comes true. And so I thought that was really cool. So what I want to take October to do is I want to do really three things. Every day, read, and not just any book. This time I'm going to take time to read over sales books. I'm going to take at least the next 2 weeks to read in sales books, and then I'll post those books I'm reading. And I'm also going to finish the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins. Love her podcast, love everything she's come out with, but I haven't taken time to finish that book. So I'm going to finish that book, but also finish another book that's nonfiction, or that is fiction. And that book that I'm reading is all about Iron Flame series. If you read it, it starts with the Fourth Wing book. Blah. I'll drop that one in there too, in case somebody wants to spend October reading with me. But I'm gonna take the time to do those things. I'm also gonna take the time to clean their house. My house has gotten to be an inconsistency as well, so I just want to take time to be consistent. But the thing I'm most excited about is that the time that I'm not working, I'm going to use some of those hours to buy back and start doing things I really enjoy. One of those things is I'm going to start challenging myself that, um, and I'm going to show you guys here in just a second. Use this time over 5 minutes to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. But I'm going to talk about it first, which is over the next 90 days, so until New Year's. My New Year's my end of year resolution is that I'm going to explain to you guys let me get the exact number, but all the different features of Microsoft Business Premium. I think Microsoft Business Premium is one of the coolest licenses out there for organizations that surpasses all the others from a workplace productivity and all those things. I want to explain to you why, and I'll talk about it for about 5 minutes here on just the other side of the screen share. But I want you guys to see exactly how many of those features there are, right? So there's 100 plus features, and so to do that in 90 plus days, birthdays and all those things, you have to be super consistent, 200 plus a day sometimes. So that's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to explain it to you guys. I'm going to show you guys here in just a second why it's so critical to notice. So with that being said, I'll see you guys on the other side. So this is a bit of an eyesore chart. For those of you that have never seen it, this is what's called Microsoft 365 Maps, a great Microsoft MVP and community member. Discuss all those things, what those mean down the line. Built this great web app that shows exactly every feature and then even has document links going to those features. So it's super cool, and we're going to dive into pieces of those. But for this video, I just want to show you guys how vast Microsoft 365 Business Premium is. And even in my world of the last 7+ years in Microsoft solution consulting and technical consulting, I've seen so many businesses that start in different license SKUs, and that's a whole other conversation. And don't realize how much value is just in this one all by itself. And then now Microsoft's added the ability to do add-ons, which they didn't have before. It's just become even more vast. So for the next 5 minutes, I want to explain to you what my challenge is and how I see it going with these 103 different features. So with that being said, over the next 90 days until New Year's Eve, I'm going to explain to you guys each one of these different features and applications, right? So the way it's set apart and the way Microsoft really does all the licensing, not just this, is it's separated by Office 365 applications, otherwise kind of productivity. Ignore, I'm about to write a little LinkedIn message, but ignore Clipchamp to the far right and Loop Workspaces. If it was me, I'd put it in the Office 365 apps. I think because it's a separate one that came out later is why it's kind of stuck off on its own. But separated into applications of Office 365, then enterprise mobility and security, which 6 years ago it was known like since then of its own, but that includes things like endpoint management, device management, endpoint analytics, as you can see. It also includes Enter ID, which also is your identity SKU, right? So it also includes information protection, right? Not full data loss prevention, so the whole nother caveat. And as you can see, there's lots of different conversation pieces for us to talk through over this time. And then it goes into just Windows, right? Just the Windows device itself and 20 plus features over there. Right? And then it even includes Defender for Business, which I think is one of the coolest add-on pieces of all Business Premium. It includes its own EDR, right? One of those buzzwords that everybody needs to have to meet cybersecurity insurance. Includes all of those things, right, for your actual organizational security, right? And then it includes Clipchamp for video recording and Loop Workspaces, which is a competitive or enterprise competitor to what is known as Notion, right? All of those radical things, right? 103 different features, all in Business Premium. And did you know organizations have over 70% of sprawl, right? Still exists. And when we mean by license sprawl, we mean that you'll see an organization that not only has this license, but then has 2 lesser licenses. And then they have 3 others, right? So over this lifetime, right, tomorrow I'm going to dive into the other licenses of M365 business, right? And for business, what that means is you have less than 300 users. So once you go over 300 users, you have to subscribe to a likewise license SKU, right? Whether that's M365 E3 plus a few add-ons to meet endpoint detection response, EDR solutions, Entra solutions, etc., right? Whatever you need to match that. Or what I see some companies do is they'll do Business Premium for their first 300 users, and then they'll just go to the full game of Enterprise E5, right? So you have Business for less than 300, 300 and less, then you have Enterprise for 300 plus, right? That's kind of Microsoft's classification. I would like to see that business kind of creep up into the 450, 500 even, right? That's if you're 300 and less, are you an enterprise? You might have some enterprise requirements, but you might not be full enterprise. They're just getting that extra dollar, which is what it is. It's business. Um, but with that being said, how many other organizations have that capability when you think of organizational software, enterprise software, right? You look at companies that use the Google Workspace suite, have Gemini, right? They have that, plus they have Slack for collaboration, right? We all have our own caveats to Teams and thoughts for Teams, but Teams is included in this business premium license. You have to stack it with the Slack. Think of things like an Okta, right? You need that for most identity features, right? From Google, right? Google's great for a starter, but once you go really are at that 250 to 300 limit, you're buying like an Okta, Jump Cloud, something of the sort for device identity, but all things, right? That's covered, right? And then you get your device management, you get your endpoint security, all the things. So with that being said, I think it's a great place to start talking, getting myself back into just being consistent. And so I'm super excited about that, you guys. So tomorrow we're going to dive into the two other licenses that go with Microsoft Business and a little bit more about M365 maps. And then the first two features on this, which is the activity reports and the adoption score. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit around M365 under the lab of doing. So until then, thank you guys. Happy October 1st. Peace.